Today, we will be discussing impacts of noise pollution on human health and effective measures to control noise pollution. Dear friends, noise has become a permanent part of our life these days because of the development of machinery, industry and technology. Noise as a pollutant contaminates the environment and affects adversely the health of a person. Noise has been found to interfere with our activities at 3 levels: audiological level, biological level and behavioral level. Noise affects the performance, physiology and psychology of a person. It also causes irritation, annoyance, distraction and disturbance, etc. Besides these problems, noise also contributes to the development of cardiovascular problems like high blood pressure, circulatory problems, cardiac disturbances, vasoconstriction, motor impairment, and even social conflicts at home and work, especially in workers exposed to high intensity noise levels. There are several specific ways in which excessive noise can affect people adversely, but broadly they have been classified as number 1, auditory effects, and number 2, non-auditory effects. Auditory effects. The principal risk has been the damage to human ear, including auditory fatigue and auditory deafness. Auditory fatigue appears at 90 decibels and may be associated with side effects as whistling and buzzing in ears. Deafness can be temporary or permanent, depending upon the exposure of noise levels. Temporary deafness occurs at about 90 to 110 decibels, from which a person can recover after a brief period of rest in a quiet environment. However, if the noise level ranges from 90 decibels to 110 decibels and continues for a very prolonged time, it leads to permanent deafness. There is possibility that the ear gets damaged partially or completely. Sometimes a very large shock wave can physically break the bones of the middle ear. This can often be repaired by skillful surgery. Once these high-pitched sound waves transmit from middle ear to the lymphatic liquid in the cochlear, they are picked up by the small nerve cells known as hair cells. These hair cells get totally damaged because they can withstand only short periods of high intensity sound. Once a nerve cell is deteriorated, it can't be regenerated again, so hearing is lost permanently. Non-auditory effects. Non-auditory effects of noise can be defined as all those effects on health and well-being which are caused by the exposure to noise, with the exclusion of effects on the hearing organs and effects which are due to the masking of auditory information. These non-auditory effects produced by noise pollution include: number 1, effect on sleep. Noise affects sleep in many ways. Several studies have revealed that 40 decibel sounds can awake light sleepers and 60 decibel sound awakens heavy sleepers. Exposure to noise disturbs the sleep proportional to the amount of noise experienced in terms of an increased rate of change in sleep stages and in number of awakenings. Noise exposure during sleep may increase blood pressure, heart rate, and finger pulse amplitude as well as body movements. There may also be after effects during the day following disturbed sleep, perceived sleep quality, mood and performance in terms of reaction time, all decreased following sleep disturbed by road traffic noise. The intensity of noise reduces the depth and quality of sleep and thus adversely affect the overall mental and physical health condition of a person. Annoyance. Noise is annoying, and annoyance produced by it is often relative to the information it conveys or the emotions it arouses rather than to its actual intensity. A sound of small intensity, such as that from an open tap, may become unbearable simply by repetition. Thus, whenever sound is noisy, it is annoying. People in noisy environment easily get tired and are usually irritable. Thus, unwanted noise keeps individuals irritated, upset, imbalanced, and fearful. Physiological effects. Noise has profound effects on the circulation, respiration, digestion, and even on the nervous system. Loud noise causes peptic ulcers, gastrointestinal problems, allergy, nervousness, etc. It causes neurological problems in children that make them irritable and hyperactive. This slows down the process of development of their mental abilities. Noise, continuous and loud, causes rapid heart beating, raises the cholesterol level, resulting in a permanent constriction of blood vessels. Work performance. Many people complain that noise makes them mentally and physically ill and reduces their working efficiency. There are many people who complain that they are unable to work properly if a clock is ticking too loudly or if there is conversation whisper nearby. Such people lose concentration, which affects their working capacity. Speech interference. Noise interferes with our ability to communicate and speak, as it causes anxiety and fear during its presence in some of the individuals. Acoustic privacy. Sometimes sound like faulty exchange reaches the wrong number and disturbs both sender and receiver. To conclude, noise is a nuisance because it has direct effects on overall health of the human beings. The students, now would like to know the control measures. Noise generation is associated with most of our daily activities. A healthy human ear responds to a very wide range of sound pressure level, ranging from the threshold of hearing at 0 decibel, uncomfortable at 100 to 120 decibels, to painful at 130 to 140 decibels. Due to the various adverse impacts of noise on human beings, noise needs to be controlled. The technique or the combination of techniques to be employed for noise pollution control depend upon the extent of the noise reduction required, nature of the equipment used, the economic aspect of the available techniques. Reduction in the noise exposure time or isolation of receiver from the sources forms part of the noise control techniques. Besides providing personal ear protection devices, engineered control for noise reduction at source and or diversion in the trajectory of sound waves. The techniques employed for noise control can be broadly classified as control at source, control in the transmission path, using protective equipments. Number 1. Control at source. Noise pollution can be controlled at the source of generation itself by employing the techniques like reducing the noise level from domestic sectors. The domestic noise coming from radios, tape recorders, television sets, mixers, washing machines, cooking operations can be minimized by their selective and judicious operation. By usage of carpets or any other absorbing material, the noise generated from felling of items in houses can be minimized. Control over vibrations. The vibrations of materials may be controlled using proper foundations or rubber padding, etc., to reduce the noise level caused by vibrations. Prohibition on usage of loudspeakers. By not permitting the usage of loudspeakers in the habitant zones except for important meetings or functions. Selection of machinery. Optimum selection of machinery tools or equipments reduces excess noise levels. For example, selection of certain machinery or equipments which generates less noise due to its superior technology, etc., is an important factor in noise minimization strategy. Maintenance of machines and automobiles. Proper lubrication and maintenance of machines and vehicles, etc. Fixing of silencers to automobiles, two-wheelers also reduces the noise level. Proper handling and regular maintenance is also essential not only for noise control but also to improve the life of machine. Control in the transmission path. The change in the transmission path increases the length of travel for the wave and get absorbed, refracted, radiated in the surrounding environment. The techniques available for the control of noise in the path are as follows. Installation of barriers. Installation of barriers between noise source and receiver can attenuate the noise levels. For a barrier to be effective, its lateral width should extend beyond the line of sight at least as much as the height. The barrier may be either close to the source or receiver, subject to the condition, but it should also be noted that the presence of the barrier itself can reflect sound back towards the source. At very large distances, the barrier becomes less effective because of the possibility of refractive atmospheric effects. Design of building. The design of the building incorporating the use of suitable noise absorbing material for walls, doors, windows, ceiling will reduce the noise level. Installation of panels or enclosures. A sound source may be enclosed within a panel structure for reducing the noise level at the receiver end. The actual differences between the sound pressure levels inside and outside an enclosure depends not only on the transmission loss of the enclosure panels, but also on the acoustic absorption within the enclosure and the details of the panel penetration, which may include windows and doors. Green belt development. Green belt development can attenuate the sound levels. Vegetation has been proposed as a natural material to reduce noise energy outdoors. Belts of trees and bushes situated between the noise source and the receiver can reduce the noise level perceived by the receiver. The degree of attenuation varies with the tree species of green belt. The statutory regulations direct the industries to develop green belt 4 times the build-up area for attenuation of various atmospheric pollutants, including noise. Using protection equipments. The usage of protective equipments is the ultimate step in noise control technology after noise reduction at source or after the diversion or engineered control of transmission path of noise. The first step in the technique of using protective equipments is to gauge the intensity of the problem, identification of the sufferer, and the noise exposure level. The usage of protective equipment and the workers' exposure to high noise levels can be minimized by job rotation. By rotating the job between the workers working at a particular noise source or isolating a person, the adverse impacts can be reduced. Exposure reduction. Regulations prescribe that continuous exposure to a noise level of 90 decibels for more than 8 hours is prohibited. Persons who are working under such conditions will be exposed to occupational health hazards. The scheme of the workers should be planned in such a way that they are not overexposed to high noise levels. Hearing protection devices, equipments like ear muffs, earplugs, and helmets, etc., are commonly used devices for hearing protection. Attenuation provided by ear muffs varies widely in respect to their size, shape, and seal material. Legislative approach. The legislative approach to control noise pollution includes separate noise pollution control rules like the Noise Pollution Regulation and Control Rules of year 2000, with amendments including the amendment made on 11th January 2010, where standards for noise control emission are laid down for enforcement. The provisions included in it for the control of noise pollution are ambient air quality standards in respect of noise for different areas or zones, responsibility as to enforcement of noise pollution control measures, restriction on the use of loudspeakers or public address system and sound producing instruments, restriction on use of horns, sound emitting construction equipments and bursting of firecrackers, consequences of any violation in silence zones or areas. A person may make complaint to the authority if the noise level exceeds the ambient noise standards by 10 decibels or more, given in the corresponding columns against any zone, or if there is a violation of any other provision of these rules. Power to prohibit continuance of music, sound or noise, etc. Regulatory guidelines. Statutory regulatory guidelines have been prescribed both for the ambient noise levels and for workspace environment noise levels. As you can see, the Indian standards for ambient noise levels. 4 areas have been categorized. Number 1, the silence zone. Number 2, residential zone. Number 3, the commercial zone. And number 4, industrial zone. For all these 4 zones, the noise limits have been prescribed both for the daytime as well as for the night time. As you can see, for silence zone, the daytime noise limit is 50 decibels and for it the night time limit is 40 decibels. Likewise, for residential zones, it's 55 decibels and 45 decibels respectively. For commercial zones, it's 65 decibels and 55 decibels. And for the industrial zone, it's 75 decibels and 65 decibels for daytime and nighttime respectively. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration regulations help us to see what is the prescribed limit for different work hours. The maximum allowable duration per day in hours is indicated in the column first, and the sound pressure level allowed indicated in the column second. For 8 hours, a person can be exposed to a noise level, at the most it can be exposed to a noise level of 90 decibels. If the work hours decrease, then the noise level can be increased. As you can see, for 6 hours, at the most the person can be exposed to 92 decibels. For 4 hours, he can be exposed to 95 decibels. For 3 hours, 97 decibels. 1.5 hours, 102 decibels. For 1 hour, 105 decibels. And for half an hour, 110 decibels. Factories Act 1948 prescribes the protection of workers against high noise levels. The State Pollution Control Board and Inspector of Factories have powers to administer the control of noise pollution. With this, we conclude. Hope you have understood various aspects of noise pollution. See you again. Till then, goodbye and thank you very much.